name's Kimmy. I work at Innovate Carolina, and if you aren't aware, Innovate Carolina is the Office of Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Economic Development. It's the Vice Chancellor's office. We exist to connect and support all of the people and programs that are in any way, shape, or form related to innovation or entrepreneurship on UNC's campus. So as many of you know, that's a lot of different moving parts, right? There's 1789, there's CUBE and the Campus Y, there's the Schufer program, there's the business school, and then there's a lot of other pieces of innovation, entrepreneurship worked into different programs and departments on campus as well. So it is our job to connect all those pieces and highlight all the cool work that innovators and entrepreneurs are doing on our campus. My role is student engagement and events. So as many of you know, I spend a lot of time at 1789. 1789 is a co-working space and a community for all students interested in innovation entrepreneurship. So it doesn't matter if you have an idea right this very moment, or if you think you would like to join somebody's team someday, or if you think you'd like to work at a startup someday. We exist to help students seek out all of those opportunities and resources. I also work with Innovate Carolina by connecting lots of different student organizations. So if any of you have friends that are in these groups like Carolina Creates or Best Foot Forward or Helping Hands, or there's a sustainability group now, all the different groups that overlap with innovation and entrepreneurship, I try to bring those groups together as well. And then I lead a working group that brings together a lot of the program staff and faculty that are connected to these programs that I just rattled off for you. So I wanted to share my screen and make sure everybody is aware of where these mentors and office hours live. Maybe. So if you aren't a 1789 member, all students are welcome to join. You'll just click this join the, can you guys see my screen? Mm-hmm. Okay, you'll just click the join the community button at the top right hand corner. You'll fill out a form that gives us some information about why you're interested in joining the community, and then you'll do an orientation, which over the summer they're happening virtually. And then you will have access to the space when we open it back up in the fall, and you will also have access to the mentors as well as events and things like that. So under resources, you'll see some different things that you probably want to check out: clubs, programs. Student Venture Fund is a pot of money that some of you know about that will open up again at the beginning of the fall. Jobs and internships we post here, but you'll also see the virtual mentors and how their office hours are categorized. So the goal of these sessions, Meet the Mentor sessions, are for you to have sort of a warm introduction to some of these individuals, because as I've worked with students, I realize not everybody is as comfortable sending an email to a stranger as others. And so I thought it'd be helpful if you at least saw a face, learned a little bit more about them, and could have a conversation with them in a pretty casual Zoom environment before you maybe sit down and have a one-on-one that's more specific about your venture. So you can find information on Nancy. I feel like I should.
I'm under the business research and information, I think.
I'm like looking.
It's down at the bottom. There it is.
There you are. Okay, so you'll find Nancy under business research and information. You'll find Melissa under social innovation. And you'll find Jonathan, who's joining us today, under operations and customer experience. Their emails are right here. So as a 1789 mentor, they're available for you to email them directly and set up a one-on-one with some specific questions, and they can give you some advice. So I'm going to stop there, and I am going to turn it over to the mentors, ask them to tell you a little bit about themselves just for a couple minutes, and also talk about why they're a 1789 mentor, how they became a 1789 mentor, what are the types of things that students could come and talk to you about. While the mentors are introducing themselves, I'd like all the students with a piece of scratch paper or on your computer, whatever, to just brainstorm, brain dump as many questions as you can in your mind. And then when they're done introducing themselves, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. And I'm going to ask you to raise your virtual hand on the screen so that we don't play the game of yelling over each other. Then I'll call on you and go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and if you have a venture, what it is, and then ask your question. So I am going to ask everyone to keep their questions and answers to like 1 or 2 minutes, because if you do the math, if everyone answers every question for like 2 minutes or less, we'll be able to get through, 5 or 6 questions, which I definitely want to get to at least that many. So Melissa, if you'd like to start it off, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, great. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm Melissa Carrier. I'm a professor of practice and public policy. I'm also the director for social innovation at Innovate Carolina. And I have an MBA. So I really straddle the world of commercial business, nonprofit, and policy. Try to pull together a couple of fun facts for you about myself. I've spent the first half of my career working mostly in the technology sector, putting new product and service into the market. In 2004, I had the privilege of working on the very first public Wi-Fi installation in Manhattan at a McDonald's. So that either dates me or says, wow, technology's moved really quickly, because that was only 16 years ago when we were trying to figure out, would people want to use Wi-Fi, bring a laptop to eat at a McDonald's? What else? After I did that, I went into higher education to actually run the country's very first angel investor group that was affiliated with a university, and that was at the University of Maryland. So in that work, I worked really closely with hundreds of student and faculty innovators to raise money for their particular venture. So I have a lot of experience working with teams on pitching your idea and building fundraising strategies, both through the angel investors, but also through grant raising and other formal networks. At University of Maryland, I ran a consulting program, and I worked with 7 universities. We ended up launching it in 7 universities to help work with nonprofit, social enterprises, and for-profit companies address issues of scale and business models. So I've had the chance to see a lot of different entrepreneurs working in sustainability or education or healthcare. And so it's been I've seen kind of a broad set of things. I also was one of the founders of ANDI, which is an organization that works on international development through supporting and growing social entrepreneurs around the globe. So really the reason I want to do mentorship through 1789 is I've learned a lot along the way. I've made my own mistakes. I built several entrepreneurship organizations. I launched the Center for Social Value Creation at the University of Maryland. That was the launching point for that university's entire social innovation platform. So I love to be able to bridge your student experience and connect what you're hoping to build and what your dreams are with what practitioners are doing to help you build stronger partnerships, better business models, fund your ideas, and really allow your dreams to take flight. So that's why I do this. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Melissa. As you're like rattling things off, I realized that there's some things I didn't even know, right? So I can give her a category of office hours, but we all have so much history that got us to where we are today. So I love doing this so that I can continue to realize who could help with what and piece that together. So thanks, Melissa. Nancy.
Hi, y'all. I'm Nancy Lovas. I think I've met a lot of you all before. I'm the entrepreneurship librarian in Davis Library, and I work with Jackie at the Cube, and I work as a 1789 mentor. Really, I'm a mentor at 1789 to bring the library to you. Business information is expensive, and the libraries, with your student fees and money from the state, we spend that money to buy market research reports and data about customers and industries, so that you have access to those resources to really ground your venture in facts and data and explore what other people are doing. I studied economics in undergrad. I'm from the Atlanta area originally, and then I moved up to DC to work in the federal government as a librarian. I have a Master of Library and Information Science, and my first job had nothing to do with entrepreneurship. And so I had gone to the British Library on vacation and walked into their business center. And the British Library, they work with entrepreneurs and small business owners. And that was the first time it had ever occurred to me that I could be a librarian and work with entrepreneurs. And it was just really exciting. And so I've been at Carolina for 2 years tomorrow. And so I've been really happy and excited the last couple of years to meet really enthusiastic, talented students who are, y'all are all doing really great work and just have a lot of energy. So the kinds of things that I can help you with, I said a minute ago that ground your venture with facts and research. It makes your plans stronger and you can understand your customers better. And if you're pitching for the 1789 Venture Fund or other competitions and things like that, knowing your stuff will help you pitch more effectively and impress investors and help you get funding. So a few practical ways I can help. If you're just getting started and you really don't know where to start, that's a great thing to meet with me about. I can help you get started, figure out what first steps to take for either research or connecting to other resources around campus or in 1789. I have consultation appointments, and so I do have a calendar that if you email me, I'll give you the link for that. There's also some library guides. There are web pages that I have created to help you figure out, help you navigate the maze of like all these different types of research and information when Google isn't enough. So I'll post a couple of links in the chat just now with some more details about other ways I can help, as well as a market research basics guide that just went live about a week ago. So thanks.
Thanks, Nancy. So those of you that already have a venture have probably at some point got some feedback related to customer discovery or market research. And so the guide that Nancy's talking about is going to be a great place for you to start, but also visit as your venture is developing and you continue to nail down your market. So thanks, Nancy. Jonathan.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Collins. I am a former entrepreneur. I, back in 2012, bought a local bagel shop in Chapel Hill. At the time, it was called Bagels on the Hill. My business partner and I were brought in by the old ownership to help take this struggling, dirty, gross restaurant and convert it into a thriving business. So 6 months working under him, he decided he didn't want it anymore and gave us the first option to buy from him. I was 25 at the time, and it was a very much kind of right place at the right time situation. We were able to raise the money and just kind of threw ourselves in head first into building this business. And like I said, it was kind of, there was no customer service. It was really dirty and gross. So the first couple months we just started with great customer service and just kind of tidying up the space and ensuring product quality and consistency in everything that we were doing. And after about 2 years of doing that, we saw a huge return. And the business was doing really well. We went through a total rebrand. And then we decided to expand and opened a second location here in downtown Durham, which we built from the ground up. We were given a cold shell in a historic building, and we had to work with architects and contractors and engineers and city officials, county officials, all of those people that had to have their touch points with building out this space. And that was an incredible experience. That was probably my favorite experience in the 7 years that I owned the business. So I guess it was last year. It was about a year ago, actually. I sold both businesses. My business partner ended up kind of quitting on me. She pivoted to another career path and running two retail operations and a wholesale operation and our catering business. So I was essentially running 4 businesses on my own and was just on the verge of burnout. So I decided that it was time to kind of pivot away from that. And after selling, what I found was there was a pretty large gap in this entrepreneurial support space in the food and beverage realm, or in a retail facing arena. So I started investigating lots of different organizations, 1789 being one of them, to see how I could kind of bring my expertise in the restaurant, food and beverage, retail space to help others. So I am a mentor with 1789. And I'm also mentoring with an organization here in Durham called the Helios Foundation, which works with people from different socioeconomic backgrounds that have kind of traditional barriers to entry into the workforce, whether it be they have young kids and can't afford childcare, or they have a criminal record, or things like that that would traditionally keep them out of the workforce, and kind of helping them start and develop their own businesses. So this is something that I've really kind of found a passion for in the last years since selling my business, is working with people to get their businesses off the ground, because I know how much work it is, and all of the unexpected things that can pop up. So, I'm listed on the website as customer experience and operations, but I've literally had my hands in every aspect of business, whether it's marketing, whether it's business development, whether it's sales, all of it. And I didn't have an MBA. My background, I have a BA in film and media studies, which back in the time I thought was a great thing to have. I tried to enter the film business for a while up in Toronto, but it's very cutthroat. I also graduated college in 2008 in another recession. So that's, I've kind of been forced to pave my own path. Every time I've tried to enter the workforce, there's been a major economic crisis. So, it's kind of taking it all in stride and figuring out how to move forward and how to do things on your own, because the world isn't always going to be set up for you to succeed, and you have to kind of figure it out. So that's kind of where I am.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan. I think so many of us can relate to that last part. So I'm going to turn it over to you all students for questions at this point. So I hope you're looking down at what you jotted down and have some good ones. I want to encourage you, if you're an extrovert, it's really easy for you to unmute and talk, to maybe hold back. And if you're an introvert, to really challenge yourself to unmute and talk. And I also want to let you know there's no real rules, so you could ask specific questions about your own venture. If it's very specific, I would ask you to just hold off and schedule a one-on-one with that mentor. But you could ask about career paths, employment advice, a specific question about the mentor's current role or resources that are available, anything that makes sense for you. So if you just raise the virtual hand, that way there could be some sort of order. Don't all raise your virtual hands at once either. Tarif. Hi, Tarif. Oh, Tarif, you're on mute or something. We can't hear you. Well, now you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can. It wouldn't be a good Zoom session without some technical difficulties, so.
Yeah, I can hear you, but just barely. It's pretty faint. Just my phone. But I guess I'll just like jump into my question while I'm here. So I had a question with respect to like virtual networking, I guess. And what kind of inspired this was I was recently connected to a local entrepreneur through a co-working space, a different one in the area. And I wasn't sure really how to kind of like capitalize on that moment. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to reach out like through that introduction or if they were going to reach out to me. Eventually I ended up saying like, hey, I'm this person, I'm interested in this, I would love to like work with you or whatever, learn from you. But I just want to know, like, I mean, like networking is kind of a dance in general, and I'm sure it's like, in my experience, it's just more complicated online, especially now in quarantine. So how do we kind of like show interest and be aggressive about what we want? Aggressive might not be the best word, but also be like mindful and considerate, and like, how do you kind of play that game?
I would say be fearless, honestly, especially at this time. I've been finding that a lot of people are more willing to connect. I think a lot of people are feeling isolated, and everybody kind of understands the situation that everybody's in. And especially with all of this kind of economic uncertainty, I think everybody is willing to share advice and help you in whatever ways they can, especially if it's something as easy as just kind of connecting on LinkedIn or, exchanging a few emails. And I would say, you said aggressive might not be the right word, but I think it kind of is. Assertive might be a better word. Don't be afraid to follow up. Don't be afraid to, just send an email. And then if they don't respond, just, hey, just wanted to bring this to the top of your inbox. It's never a bad idea to show your interest. And I think that's, again, just really important at this time, especially because you can't meet in person.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with Jonathan. I think if you were like introduced via email, when someone does that to me, I probably answer faster if the student follows up the intro email with something a little more personal, instead of waiting for them to respond for you to follow up. I think that was a good call. Nancy, Melissa, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great advice, and it's a great question. And here's the secret, if you haven't figured it out. As a student, you get a free pass to basically reach out to anybody you want in the world. People love to talk to students. It doesn't matter if they're an executive director of the largest nonprofit or running a foundation or leading a company. They love connecting with students. So this is the secret, because once you graduate and you have those beautiful letters after your name, you become like everybody else. So
then you just look weird.
So take full advantage of the fact that you are a student, that you are learning. Use that in your communications, whether it's a cold reach or a warm touch through networking. I am a student at the University of North Carolina. I am learning about this. Would you mind sharing your ideas or your thoughts or taking 15 minutes with me? So just that is a secret. Feel free to share it with others, and then it won't be such a secret. But I promise you, it's a great way to connect in. And I do agree with Jonathan and Kimmy that in the virtual world, people are looking to connect. But use your tools. Use LinkedIn. Use this mentor network. I always tell my students, look to see who I know on LinkedIn. I don't know how many connections I have. It might be like 1,000. Like, look if I know anybody or any organizations that you're trying to. Then you get those soft touches, right, that help. But truthfully, like being a student, take full advantage of being bold and brave and reach out to anybody that you think will be helpful to you.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if you like read something that they've written, or if there's something about them that you admire, leading off with that compliment always kind of smooths the way. And just letting them know how something that they've done, how that has helped you accomplish one of your goals or something like that. Mm-hmm. Kind of a mutual appreciation, expressing your appreciation for something that someone has done.
Oh, yes. And I will add, this is more of a tactic, but Nancy made me think about this because we've used it in the past myself with our organizations we're building. if you have a social media account and there's people you follow, say on Instagram or on Twitter, that is a great way to connect or reach people that you may not be able to easily find an email address or a phone number for. Follow them, post comments to things that they tweet, and kind of work your way into the conversation. That works really well, especially with maybe harder to reach people that you want to have conversations with. I have been very successful with that strategy.
Awesome. Well, that's like actually super enlightening and also super comforting, because I have just kind of played like, like the aggressive, like cast your net kind of play right now. I haven't been like super like hesitant. Like I've been trying to like reach out to people wherever I can. So that's nice to know that like that's like the right approach, as long as I like, cater it individually and make it personal, yada yada, etc. and so forth. But like the kind of caveat to this that if you guys could follow up and answer this too, is like, how do you cast your net wide and hope that you get a connection without seeming like disingenuous and like also like, what if you like reach out to a bunch of people and you unsuccessfully reach out to like 20 people, and then those are 20 connections or potential connections that you don't have anymore because you didn't do it the right way? Or is that just not a thing? Like, can you always have like a second chance?
I think it can be tricky. I think it kind of depends on the nature of how you're reaching out and what you're reaching out about. If it's just to make the connection, I don't think people are going to hold it against you if they don't respond to an email. I don't think you've burned that bridge forever. I think there are lots of ways to approach it. And I think, without knowing the details of how or why you're reaching out, I think taking a bit more of a personal approach, kind of like what Melissa and Nancy were saying, like use articles that they've written or find something personal about who you're trying to reach out to try and make it a much stronger connection, so that it doesn't feel like hey, I'm just, sending out LinkedIn invites to whoever I can find. Try and really personalize the approach as much as possible. And also having a mutual contact make the introduction for you is a great way to do that. So like they were saying, go through your friends' LinkedIns or people that you're already connected with, and see if there are ways that you can activate your network to facilitate those interactions.
Yeah, and I would add on, if you don't have something to tell them to woo them, then at least have a specific question that you want an answer for, or you want to process with them. Because I think the value in networking and these relationships is not really in quantity, it's more in quality, right? So you want to make sure you're establishing a reason to check in with someone regularly. Is there and it's a little bit harder that we're not in person, because you don't just run into people as often, or you can't say let's go grab a coffee, but you could say, do you have time for a 15-minute phone call? I'd love to share XYZ with you. If they're not so receptive, I think you'll learn, for whatever reason, it might be because they're a busy individual, or whatever reason, they might not be the person that you'll continue a long-term relationship with, but there'll be others that you have more in common with, and they'll want to hear your updates and have advice to give you and things like that. So I want to be cognizant of time, so I'm going to move on to Charity. She has a question.
Hi, I'm Charity. Am I supposed to introduce myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Quickly. I'm
Yeah.
Charity. I am a PhD student, and that should tell you that I am taking it from the fire hose every single day. I'm a co-founder of the Unfiltered Collective, formerly known as the Unfiltered Project. And because of that, my question towards the mentors of the Venture Lab is really in regards to, and if our cubers don't mind me speaking on our behalf, I know that we're all very social justice oriented, and we are in some very torrential times in the American context. So I'm curious as to how, just naming that all of the mentors are don't look like me. So naming that, and how are you all thinking about basically the chaos storm that we're about to head into as students, and as students who are active thinkers, critical thinkers, and very cognizant of what's going on? And so what are ways that CUBE is thinking about mitigating that burnout that students, and I'm sure mentors, are experiencing? That's just my concern always as a nurse and as someone who's deeply invested in self-care. So I just like to hear, what have you all been thinking? What are some of the issues that are coming up with regards to even implementing those types of practices?
So in libraries, our core values as a librarian are equity and inclusivity, diversity and accessibility, very social justice oriented. And in the university libraries as an organization, our university librarian is a Black woman, Elaine Westbrooks. She's amazing, and is leading our organization in to like actually do something about increasing equity in the library, access to information. And so that's my context, where I'm coming from as a librarian, to help you get access to the information you need in order to be successful, whatever that looks like. There are resources being developed for anti-racist, how to become an anti-racist organization for small business owners, that I've been contributing to that kind of collective project, and just really educating myself on what people who are not white experience, and thinking about how do I use my experience and knowledge as a librarian to amplify voices and just learn from you as well. Listen to you. You are the content experts on your product and service and venture, and it's a collaboration. It's not an I'm an expert and you don't know anything. That is absolutely not the case.
I think, Melissa, you've been digging some stuff up on this lately.
Yeah, and I was thinking about maybe answering your question, and tell me if this is the right approach around sort of how you do self-care as an innovator and entrepreneur in part. Okay, because it's really important. And entrepreneurs and innovators are particularly susceptible to burnout and mental health challenges. It's been well researched and well documented. And I think only recently, I would say, the ecosystem of support for innovators has started to really address it. You know, I will say, after 10 years at the University of Maryland building and trying to change our culture, I took an 18-month break because I was tapped out. I was done. I was mentally exhausted, really proud of my work, but I needed to step away and understand what just happened and pull myself together. I ran a few half marathons, clearly not running these days, but kind of reconnected with myself so I can appreciate, having lived through it myself, what question you're asking. And
that's Melissa's self-care, not mine.
Don't wait 10 years. One piece of advice, maybe do it a little more often, a little more therapy. And I'll be honest, yesterday I had a loud scream and a few tears, because it is tough work that we do, right? I went on my porch yesterday and my husband looked at me and was like, what is happening to you? I was like, I just need to, release.
Need a moment.
I need a moment, and I'm just going to have it. And when I'm done, I'll let you know. So Jackie and I've worked really, Jackie and I are really thinking a lot about how to do this. And we've been, we'll, as a group, we'll incorporate more mindfulness. I know Kemi's doing the same thing. How do we, put mindful practice in our entrepreneurial programs for students? Because it's really important. And I think having a community, this is a great, here's an example. We have 20 some students on this call. Here's your community of support as well. And you let us know too, Charity, you're building this. So you might have some things that we
I think that's really, that was my, I wanted to just name that, because I too, like, I just wanted to name that I'm going through the ebbs. Like right now I'm smiling, but 24 hours ago I was in my bed crying. And so I just wanted to normalize that is the experience that I think a lot of us are having, and not, I'm not going to cry on a Zoom. I don't think I'm going to cry on a Zoom call. I don't know. There's a first time for everything. But we're so passionate, and everything is so important to us, and that makes us really susceptible to burnout. And so I just wanted to name that and let people know you're in good company. And just, it's nice to hear it from the mentors too. So thanks for playing along with me.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you, Charity. I can also relate. I feel like there's been so many more moments of, just breakdown and crying this in 2020 than any other year. So we're all in this together. Rita, would you like to introduce yourself and ask a question?
Yes, so I'm Rita. I'm the founder of Pink Stream, which we educate K through 5 girls in STEM fields, which we call STREAM, stands for Science, Technology, Robotics, Engineering, Arts, and Math. So my question can be a long run because we still have a lot of time until it. But as you know, like the college calendar changed, and now we have a break after Thanksgiving, which gives like a 1.5-month break at that time. What do you think will happen in that time frame? Because I feel like since there will be Christmas and those stuff going on, it won't be very efficient. How, as entrepreneurs, we can develop our plans throughout that time frame?
I would say, as you start to launch your business, you'll just kind of understand that there are going to be patterns during the year. For us, running a restaurant in Chapel Hill, that was summer. Summer was dead. Like we basically had, and we weren't even on Franklin Street. We were in a much more residential part of town, but using those downtimes, not necessarily to push to build your business, but that's a good time to be laying all of your framework and putting plans together so that when things pick back up, you're ready to hit the ground running. Whether or not you're able to make contacts during that time, you should still be reaching out and still be making those efforts. But just under the understanding that, not everybody is going to be working full time the week of Christmas or over the holidays. Usually, the last 2 weeks of December, until after New Year's are just a ghost town. Nobody's checking their email. Everybody's kind of on a break. So it's not just your business, but I think what's important is to try and keep as much momentum as possible so that you don't get sidetracked and you don't let the ball drop on what you're trying to accomplish. There's lots of planning that can be done. And just keep pushing forward.
But also maybe give yourself a day to sleep.
Yeah, that too. Back to the self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good question, Rita. I'm sure we'll be thinking and talking more about that as the summer and the fall go on. Atharva.
Yeah, hi. So I actually had a question regarding, so this is kind of piggybacking off of Tarif's virtual networking question. And we mentioned a few things about how students can connect very easily when it comes to their ideas and businesses. But one question I had was, how exactly would you get hands-on, in particular, as what I mean by that is getting your product or getting your idea out in the public, because that's also something that I've heard is a very good idea, so you get multiple opinions on what you're trying to sell. So how would you exactly do that? Because I know we mentioned like LinkedIn or a few resources at UNC, but beyond that, what would one do?
Well, definitely as an entrepreneur, you want to seek as much feedback about what you're building as you possibly can. I mean, the worst thing any innovator can do is hold their idea to themselves and say, just wait till it's finished and then I'll show everybody once it's done. So no matter what stage you're in, seeking that feedback loop from customers and stakeholders is really important. And I would say don't overthink it. So you don't need a full, product ready to sell to somebody to get feedback. You can create prototypes and use them to meet with individuals who, are potential customers. Nancy can help you think through who is your target customer and how might you reach them? Where are they shopping? Where are they recreating? I don't know what your business, where are they seeking healthcare services? Where are they living? In what community? And so she can help you kind of think through building target customer segments. And then you figure out, well, now that I know more about them and where they are, go find, some and have them work with you on the design of your product, have them play with a prototype or experience whatever service you're building and get those feedback loops. Like from a technology standpoint, for example, any innovators who are building a tech-based business, you launch an alpha site with really close friends, and then you put it beta and you kind of invite others in to give you feedback before you would even go out into the public market space. So there's lots of strategies to use to get those feedback loops and connect with customers before you even need to have a product that you're going to sell.
I'm not a mentor, obviously, but I hope it's okay if I bring up one more idea, which would be launching on Reddit. I think that's a really good way. You can find a subreddit with anywhere between 50,000, 100,000 people who are kind of interested in whatever specialty your business relates to. So you can throw up a link on there, a small blurb about what you're doing, and just ask people for feedback. And to be honest, if the internet likes your idea, you're golden, because most of the time people don't like to leave positive feedback, but it's still very helpful. I really recommend Reddit.
Great idea, Michael.
Yeah, great idea.
I'm looking for the name of someone right now. Her name is Jane Zhang, Z-H-A-N-G. Some of you, if you applied to 79 Student Venture Fund, I already connected you with her. She's a Duke student, so everyone be nice. She's actually a rising sophomore, but I've had a phone conversation. So this is an example of a student that just came up in my inbox, and I said, yes, let's schedule a call to learn more about what she was doing. So remember, you can do that, even to different universities. And what she's doing is she has a startup called Lean Start. It's a service that helps founders conduct 15 to 30-minute customer discovery interviews, product tests, and receive feedback from other founders. So she is in a pretty old school way, connecting people to people, which I would love to do, but it takes up so much time. So I'm glad she's doing it. And if you have not been connected with her and you want connected with her, please send me an email and I will connect you with her, because looks like for now she's doing this for free. And so it's like something where you fill out a form, and each week you get a form back, so you have to be willing to give some feedback on some other founders' ideas, but in return, you receive feedback from a group of founders on your idea. So to me, it sounded like a great place to start customer discovery. I am recording this. I have no idea what we're going to do with the recording. I might be able to post it. I'm not sure yet. Tarif just asked if I'm going to post this. I will try to find some way to post it, but we're also grabbing some notes, so I'll follow up with those as well. We have a little more than 10 minutes left. And Tyrell, it looks like you have a question.
Hi, my name's Tyrell Carter. I am a senior majoring in business with a minor in entrepreneurship. I'm a part of Cube and UNC-Chapel Hill. I have a business, it's called Ante, and it helps small businesses with data analytics. And my question is mainly about, when you're team building, what should you be looking for in the people that you're trying to help you build your team with?
I always found it useful to find people with complementary skills. So the first part of that is kind of acknowledging what your weak points are. If you know, like for me, I was really strong on the business development and community building and marketing. And my business partner was much more versed in the kind of restaurant operations and staff management and things like that. So we had very complementary skill sets. I think that more than anything is probably what I would focus on. I know personally, like I'm kind of a big idea person, and when it gets down into a lot of the nitty-gritty day-to-day detail-oriented stuff, that's where my focus starts to drift off. It's, you know, I think finding the right people that can really add value to your business beyond what you already bring, that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Melissa or Nancy, anything to add? That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
You know, part of it's thinking through what your organizational strategy is and sort of the things that you need to move, you know, to meet milestones. And so Jonathan's right. What are the, you know, skills and capabilities that are kind of gaps and getting you where you need to go in kind of the near and medium term, and building teams around that, I think it's a good point.
And when you get your team together, I was thinking just like assume the best of each other, that you all have, that your team shares the same goal of getting your venture launched and achieving success, however you define success. But with complementary skill sets, like you're going to have different ideas about how to get there. And so kind of just assuming the best about my colleagues and my team as when I manage to do that, that helps me out a lot.
And don't
It's an
underestimate the value
sorry,
of communication. Sorry, Kimmy.
Go ahead.
I would say just make sure you're bringing in people that are effective communicators. One of the hardest things is when you have to have a back and forth with somebody because you don't understand what they're trying to say or what you're trying to tell them. It just slows everything down. So clear communication between your team is key.
You're in a pretty unique situation if you're a solo founder, right? And you get to kind of pick how you're going to build this team. So you're definitely going to be looking for skills that complement your skills and fill some gaps in. But my advice is to just find a way to have like a one-on-one conversation with them and ask them questions that aren't even specific to the venture or their skills or abilities, or really try to get to know their personality. Because oftentimes I think the best teams click, like Jonathan said, in their communication or just in their personalities. That's how I feel about the Innovate Carolina team. We could teach any of the people on that team anything. You can learn content, right? But what you can't really teach is if you're going to click with that person as a partner and be able to grow this passion that you have. So to me, that's the most important thing.
Yep. And I will add, I just want to build on one thing with team formation, because I just did a training on Monday for faculty on this exact question. How do you create collaborative and creative teams? Be sure to, as you're, courting members, if you will, to your team, take time to really understand what their motivations are and their interests and how you can help them also achieve their goals. I have worked with student entrepreneurs who have approached team building solely around what it's going to do for their business. And it's just not a real successful strategy. So come at it, I think, in terms of how you can build a partnership with potential team members and what can you, Terrell and Auntie, offer potential students or others who might want to come in and work with you and build that mutual benefit together.
And thank you, Shiva, who somehow just ended up in our waiting room, but I'm letting her back in. She's the Innovate Carolina intern that's also on the call. And in the chat, she just threw in there a quick plug for anyone looking for team members or wanting to join a team at 1789hub.com. under the resources tab, you'll see something called the team register, and it points you to this Google sheet that I just threw in the chat. It's really low tech, like throw your name and your idea in there if you're looking to join a team and or looking for others to join your team. There's a tab for each one. Beyond that, I think it's something that you as a founder needs to, sort of figure out for yourself, but I want to at least create a space where if you are looking for someone to join your team or you're looking to join somebody else's team, you could throw some information up there, some contact information, so that, like we said earlier, you can find each other on LinkedIn and maybe reach out and say, hey, do you want to meet up? You might be a good person to join this venture that I have going on. So it looks like we have time for one more question, and I'm going to turn to Mallory.
Hello. I was with Small Steps, but I'm in the middle of a pivot, so new name coming soon. But I am in launch for the summer cohort, and I know there are a bunch of people who are in Cube here too, and I was just wondering if there's any like group or cross communication channel happening already, and if not, maybe we could create like a Slack channel or something so that we can all pool ideas and resources that we're being connected to.
Somebody else that's in here in a launch cohort, do you know if something exists? I have not created a 1789 Slack, but it is sitting next to me on a bulletin board for like things to do this summer, so that in the fall there'd be a very broad I&E channel for all the people that are members of 1789, but it launches a little bit more of a specific cohort.
Yeah, so I was in a previous launch, and no, they don't have anything like that. They have like a Google Groups like thing. It's kind of like email. It's pretty awful. They need to definitely have something like that available. I would agree with that, because the communication does kind of like, that's probably one of the weakest standpoints that they have, is the level of communication between the different participants, not with the cohort itself or the people running it. That's fantastic. Love it. It was amazing. It's just that, people should work together more, and that would automatically bring in some more collaboration.
Yeah, so I realized that too. I was hit pretty hard with that realization when the world went virtual in March, and it was something I wanted to work on, but it became a major priority in March. And I am starting 1789 LinkedIn group, because what I really want to capture, like you just said, Rob, is like the current 1789 members connecting with old 1789 members. And then when you all graduate, I want you to still have some connection to who's up and coming at the university. I mean, you never know, how you're going to connect to people and what world you shared. You like just miss some people coming up, and maybe they're working on something similar to what you are working on after you graduate. So I did start a LinkedIn group as well. As soon as you go to 1789hub.com, it's going to pop up a box that says join our LinkedIn group. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do there, is connect, multiple generations of, we can say 1789 members, but basically just a UNC student I&E community, since all are welcome there. So please join us in that 1789 LinkedIn, and invite anybody else that that was in this UNC I&E community, even if it was a couple years ago.
For sure, that sounds cool. I wasn't a student there. I was an RIT grad, but launch was fantastic. And I was wondering, with Innovate Carolina, are you guys going to be having like, are you gonna be setting it up at a later year or later time in the year where people are actually going to go? Because we were supposed to be one of the showcase companies.
Yeah, we'll have to know. There's no way with a shortfall that will be possible. I would assume that we'll just do another April 2021 showcase.
Sure. Yeah,
I haven't heard any talk about it, but that's my really solid guess.
Yeah,
Since the other thing I do besides student engagement is events, I'm like, no, because I don't honestly, you got to book that space a year ahead of time. So it was a real bummer with the showcase, and maybe if something happens again next year, we'll try to do something virtual, but.
Hey, other opportunities always arise. I mean, from that type of thing.
Exactly.
What is it? Intercon 2020 was pushed back like so far, the one that's happening in Vegas. And because of that, it actually created an opportunity where they reached out to us. And so I'm actually receiving the top 50 tech innovators, or top 50 tech visionaries award there. and that would have never happened if it wasn't pushed back. So, you know, you never know.
You never know.
Silver linings.
Silver linings, right. So we are about at our time. I want to thank everyone for signing on today, especially our mentors, Melissa, Nancy, and Jonathan. If you three could just throw your email into the chat right now, that way nobody has any excuses to not have their contact information. But again, remember, this is all at 1789hub.com. And we're going to be doing this every other Wednesday at noon. So I hope you've registered for the one on the 24th already. If you haven't, Shiva's going to send out an invitation, and you're all going to be on the list to get that invitation this afternoon. So please sign up for future dates. We'll have 3 different mentors. And really, if this continues to be a valuable conversation, which I really feel like it was, and if fall seems kind of everywhere because it's going to be so different, I might just continue this through the fall semester. So it would just be sort of rotating the same 15 or so mentors, but it would allow us just to check in with each other and you know, have these conversations. And I think that's really important, to stay motivated, stay focused.
Thank you, Kimmy, for pulling it together.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to see a lot of you.
See everybody.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye, Amrita.
Bye.
Bye.